So in the whole presentations, I'm going to talk about the problem, what kind of solution I am aware of that I think is working well, and then a study that I did with a few patients, the analysis of it, and then the conclusion. The problem is, the big problem is that many people have fertility. Statistics show that about 15% of couples in the United States at least suffer from infertility. And it has to do also with the definition, what is infertility. The modern definition is if you try for 1 year and you can't get pregnant, then you're infertile. This is the modern medicine definition. And according to that, 15% of the patients have infertility, out of which about 40% are unexplained, meaning we don't know why, from a Western medicine point of view. And 60% have some reason, which is fallopian tubes or endometriosis or something with a hormone, FSH, or things like that, of that nature. So the problems that I see here, I mean, this is the big problem. A lot of people have infertility. And that's when I got into this area a few years back, this is really what I was going into initially. But as the years went by and I saw many, many patients, my problems also shifted to a different platform from a Chinese medicine eyes, where, cannot get pregnant is a problem, but then what is around it is also a problem. What I mean by that is basically what happened today with infertility treatment. So my goal is really not to be critical of modern medicine, but rather as an adjunct, trying to bring the Chinese medicine opinion to try to help and better it or better ourselves. It's all for this purpose. It's not to say we are bad or you're bad. But what happened today is, from my experience, first of all, many patients that go modern infertility treatments end up not successful, meaning it's not like solved, period. So when you look at the statistics, you can pull the statistics from the IVF clinics that are published online and with the CDC. You see that some patients have only 2% success rate, which are patients over the age of 42. Other patients might have 30-40%, which still leaves 60 to 98% of the people not pregnant at the end of the day, be it IVF, donor eggs, what have you, whatever treatment that they have out there, many still are not pregnant. So this is one problem that I see, which really leaves a big space for Chinese medicine to come in, because Western medicine does the best that it can and still nothing works. The other things that I see is, and this is over the years seeing a lot of patients going IVF treatments and fertility drugs, see that the goal with this treatment, which is different than many other areas in modern medicine, is really to get the woman pregnant. Where with other places, let's say you have heart problems or other kind of problems, you want to get the patient healthy with a different paradigm. Okay, Western medicine believes that healthy is this way, Chinese medicine believes that healthy is maybe a little bit different, but that's what we want. With infertility treatment, all of a sudden the goal shifted. It becomes goal-oriented, meaning we want to get you pregnant almost at all costs. Not just cost to the patient, but to her health and things. And I bring here the classical Chinese medicine perspective, which is a little different. It means the Chinese medicine over many, many generations looked not just at the short-term gains, but rather what happens later, what happens in the next generation, what happens 20 generations down the road. This is the kind of like sage thinking. And that's where I think we can benefit Western medicine with our opinion and try to see if we can learn from each other in that respect. So when I treated many, many IVF patients in the last few years, maybe 600 or 700 of them, and I see that according to Chinese medicine, if patients many times go into the treatment healthy in our sense, meaning asymptomatic, they can't get pregnant, but they feel great, or kind of feeling good. But then they start having very intense fertility treatments and then to get a lot of follicles, and they start having side effects and hot flashes, and sometimes the periods become irregular, and all kind of things in the name of trying to get them pregnant. But then I think of it from a Chinese medicine point of view, just from a logical standpoint. If a person is healthy and getting pregnant, is it equal if she's not healthy and getting pregnant? At the end, they both can get pregnant. But if we want to think down like 5 generations, 20 generations down the road, maybe there's no difference, but from Chinese medicine, logical standpoint, it says there must be a difference. It's always better to be healthy than not. And that's where we differ a little bit, and I think that Chinese medicine has a great place in here to state his opinion in that respect. And I do, in my practice, work very closely with few reproductive endocrinologists, many doctors that I work with closely, and we do see eye to eye in that sense. It's not that and this is also what I want to share with you at the beginning, is that my approach to integrating Chinese and Western medicine is a little different than the common approach. I believe that it's very important to integrate, but the way to integrate is really not to do what the other wants you to do, but rather you have to be the best in your field and show results. When you show results, the other medical doctors say, like, we want to be in business with you because we send patients here, it looks like it works. And this, I think, really what we should do. This is the general approach. And so the problems that we have here is not just that many patients don't get pregnant, many patients are disqualified for treatment altogether, of Western treatment that is, because of high FSH and things like that. And then there are some studies that I saw that show anecdotal evidence that patients that are prone, that they do IVF, the babies come with premature weight, even if they carry to term. The increase in birth defect is pretty pronounced, and some studies that suggest that there's much more to it that we need to find out. This is part of the problems that I myself became exposed to, which is in addition to the general problems, just that there's a lot of infertility. So I think that Chinese medicine has a place here that it could, benefit the profession. So this is about the problem. And then, so to have a solution in Chinese medicine, we need to come up with a theory. The theory that we want to make up is not really making it up, it's rather from observing nature. That's how all the Chinese medicine theory comes about. So the theories that I talk about, the Liu Jing and Yang energy versus Yin energy, Xing and Ming, and what is the Shaoyin and true fire and how that's related, this is all, much of it comes from the classics, from the Neijing, Shanghanlong. Some of it is me thinking about this concept and coming up with my own stuff. But it's really, the bottom line of it is that when I come up with my theory according to the classics or not, at the end is to see if it's working or not. If it doesn't work, it's no good. It's not about the theory that sounds good. It's rather, if it works, then it's truth. This is kind of the same as Western medicine approach. You do a study, if it's working, it is working. It's not just because the theory said it should. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So in the theory, I just want to introduce it a little bit because it's a little different than what we learned today in school. First, we talk about the yang. We have the three yang. I call them the three yang spheres. We call them the six stages. There's a few different names. It's called the Liu Jing. And they are the Taiyang, Shaoyang, and Yangming. And basically, they describe the revolution of the energy that happens in nature. So if we take, for example, the 4 seasons or the day, they're all cycles of yin and yang, right? The yin transforms into yang, the yang transforms into yin. The only problem is the way we learn it today is that the yang, let's say this is midnight, and this is noon. This is a day and night cycle, or a 4-season cycle, winter, spring, summer, fall, and back to winter. It's a whole change of energy cycle between yin and yang. The day that we're learning today, which is also true, is to say that the yang occupies this half, and the yin occupies this half. The yin and yang are equal. This is the common approach, at least in the last 200-300 years. But when you look back in the classics, when you read the Shanghanlong, you see that there's some other information in there that doesn't conform to this. And when you study the Yi Jing, the Book of Changes, you see that you have pre-heaven trigrams, post-heaven trigrams. The pre-heaven are very clearly separated. Post-heaven is like a big mess, nobody knows what's going on. And it's really this difference between the pre-heaven, post-heaven. So it is true half and half, but there's also another thing going on. And what we explain here first is the three yang. The first yang is what we call the Taiyang, or the great yang, which starts at midnight. Midnight is the coldest time of the day, at least theoretically, or right now. That's when the yang start to open up, is born, and it starts to open up, and the yang is growing, which means the temperature warms up in the morning, and the sun comes out, and everything opens up, until it gets to noon, which is the hottest, the warmest. And what happened after that? The yang energy start to cool down. It start to close down. So the yang energy start to close to the evening, and it becomes closed at night, or what we call going back into storage. Already opens up and goes down